Hey guys, what's up? Cobra Axis and Allies here. Today we've got a slightly different video. As you can see here, we've got a bunch of 1980s era units. These are from a good friend I've got on Facebook in a Axis and Allies page that you guys should definitely check out. It's just called Axis and Allies. Tons of great people out there, tons of great ideas being spread around. It's even for the casual player, it's just great to be there and kind of see all this customization and even just tips and tricks that you'll find on the site. But basically this video is not only just here to showcase all of these cool looking infantry and units and stuff, you guys that are waiting for 1985 to come out, to see some of the stuff that will be offered by HBG and stuff that you can get, like these infantry you might see. But it's also just kind of a speculation video, just kind of thinking about what's going to be in there, and based off of the posts I've been seeing on Global War 85 on Facebook, which, again, you guys should join that page. There's tons of great information out there, but basically this video is here to tell you about what's going on with it from a customer point of view, and so that you guys don't have to. So basically what I've been seeing in the Global 85 games, and these pictures you'll be seeing are just from the Global 85 Facebook page, is there's going to be a lot of emphasis on individual diplomacy, it seems. So like stuff like China, they're not going to be the communist axis that most people might think about, Russia, China, North Korea, all going to war with NATO and America, isn't really going to be a thing, because as some of you might know, China wasn't, they definitely split up from the Soviet Union in terms of diplomatic ties in the 1950s, which kind of split them apart into their different separate goals, and sometimes they almost had military conflicts break out just because of their competitive nature. But that's definitely represented in game, where China is going to be their own sort of faction, kind of like the Comintern was in Global 36. And that basically means that they're probably going to have their own goals, and they're going to be able to declare war on, the Soviets, or maybe help the Americans out, but possibly try to stab them in the back, try to fight Japan or take Southeast Asia out, go for India, stuff like that. Another thing I've been seeing was diplomacy. There's going to be a lot of kind of proxy wars going on, and this will come in the form of being able to place insurgents, working a lot like partisans from 85, where you probably are going to roll, or you're going to pay some money, you're going to place a partisan in a territory, and in a neutral country. That neutral country will kind of fight you, and you can supply your partisan forces to help kind of overthrow the government and kind of instill your own aligned regime that will help your cause out, whether it be NATO, the US, the Soviet Union, or China. Another thing I've been seeing is a lot of individuality in the neutrals, so stuff like just little mini wars, like a possible Falklands Island conflict that could break out between neutral Argentina and British NATO. Another start date will be in the mid-80s, where Iran and Iraq will be in a fight, and that'll be the Soviets and the Chinese controlling those two factions. And one thing I definitely like about the map design now is neutral countries have a lot more territories. Like Iran and Iraq both have like 4 territories and really big armies that could definitely go toe-to-toe with some small kind of half-assed invasion force from, say, the Soviets or NATO. Which also begs the question, it would be pretty cool to almost like see something like Iran as a playable nation, something that could probably be house ruled in fairly easily. But yeah, I really like that idea. Big thing that a lot of people have been kind of talking about is how nukes will be used, because most of the time when you think of modern war, and if it broke out into worldwide conflict, somebody throws a nuke, everybody's going to want to use their nukes, and then at that point, there's hardly a world to fight for anymore. So HBG has been, saying that they've been trying to figure out ways to combat this. Make sure that it doesn't just turn into this world-ending conflict of just throwing nukes around and not really caring about anything else, and basically just protecting your homeland almost, by a bunch of fighters. And how I've seen that play out is there's just going to be kind of like if you've played the nuclear expansions for Global 36, where you'll roll some dice in a nuclear attack against units, which can do heavy damage, and it can instantly fully damage facilities and stuff, which is definitely bad and everything, but it's repairable. You'll be able to build new units. You'll be able to repair your factories. Nuclear fallout, not so much. You'll lose a few bucks here and there from territories. But overall, you got a ton of nuclear options, and probably based on those, negative things could happen. It'll allow your enemies to want to shoot more nukes at you. Stuff like that. It might maybe even take away victory objectives, kind of that whole essence of, if you nuke the world to oblivion, you're the loser too in that battle. So I hope to see that, play out. Pretty cool. And with nukes, there comes a lot of ordnance that I've seen. Stuff like cruise missiles, mid-range missiles, nuclear-tipped weapons and stuff like that can be loaded onto ships, aircraft, and they definitely pack a huge punch. Like, I've seen stuff, some battles that you would never even, consider in a Global 36 game. Like, one time I saw a post where the Americans were sending in a Marine and a fighter to take out Cuba, which had about 3 infantry, a fighter, a couple subs as their navy. So, right there, if that was Global 36, you'd probably want to, build up a few more forces before going after it. But in 85, with all the ordnance that you're going to have at your disposal, stuff like cruise missiles and small tactical nukes and stuff like that will definitely help you out. In that battle, the U.S. was able to launch some cruise missiles and pretty much disable the Cuban Air Force and a few of their infantry, allowing the Marines to land pretty much unscathed, which I think will definitely be awesome. Another big thing I saw was, or a big difference, is going to be how you transport units. Now, if you're a fan of any Axis and Allies game, whether it be just normal Axis and Allies or HBG's global war games, you'll definitely know that transports play a huge role. Building up your navy and just buying a heck ton of transports and sending your big armies across the globe, and then losing transports, buying new transports. Without transports, you can't get anywhere. You can't really exert dominance with navies. Now, in this game, I've noticed that there isn't really going to be a huge emphasis on just buying hundreds of transports, kind of like you would do back in the day. And that's definitely kind of goes to show how modern warfare is kind of like. You don't see thousands of Liberty ships, sailing up and down the American coastline, shucking units around. There's heavy aircraft, heavy lift aircraft that can bring Abrams into combat, stuff like that. Massive amphibious assault ships that can move whole entire armies around and their supplies and aircraft and stuff. So I've seen that navies will definitely get a little simpler in that sense, where you'll have your destroyers, your cruisers. I think there's limited battleship use with the Americans, their Iowa classes. But a big thing will be the amphibious assault ship, and these things look pretty cool. Hopefully I can get a picture up right now. And it looks like they may be able to transport, more infantry than usual, maybe 3, 4. They'll be able to transport aircraft, so like helicopters, probably Harrier-type jump jets, stuff like that, kind of tactical strike craft, and probably ordnance too. Now, so basically, as I see these things, they're almost like an army mover. You'll be able to drop off, you'll be able to sail one of these in, maybe a small task force, maybe even by itself, drop it off in the Middle East, and boom, you've got an air base, where you're dropping off your helicopters and stuff. You've got something to drop off troops and stuff to take out the Middle East with and resupply it afterwards. Something I definitely like. Brings a whole new dynamic where you have this kind of use ship. It's an aircraft carrier. It's a troop mover. It probably has some kind of defensive value. But overall, really cool ship. Another thing for moving mass amounts of units would be sea lifting routes. Another thing I saw. These were kind of like convoy routes from Global War 85. And how I see these things is they've got different paths. They mainly have to do with America, I think, where basically you've got, say a path going to the Middle East, a path going to Europe. And how that works is basically like once per turn you could transport, say, 4 units to Europe, and they would go across that route, and they could be intercepted by Soviet aircraft, Soviet bombers, Soviet submarines, which I definitely think will be pretty cool. In the playtest games I've seen posted online, is there's NATO and America definitely have to put some resources into protecting these routes, because without America's help, Europe may tip in the balance of, say, the Warsaw Pact or Russia, which I definitely think is a pretty cool dynamic, having to play the game kind of like the Battle of the Atlantic in Global 36, where you're defending your routes, trying to get troops in, stuff like that. Overall, really cool, and sounds like a really awesome concept. Another big thing is helicopters and airborne infantry, just the kind of dominance of airborne, more tons of actual aviation in this game. Now, I haven't seen a ton of information or gotten a ton of information on these. So far, what I'm thinking, or what I can make out, is there's stuff like strike fighters, or kind of like your tactical bomber almost, stuff that can carry ordnance into battle, stuff like that. Interceptors, which stuff like just interception jets that'll be able to take out bombers, maybe even some forms of ordnance, missiles and stuff like that. Stuff that you're going to want defending your carrier groups across the world. We're going to have stealth aircraft, stuff like just American. I know the Americans have a lot of stealth aircraft at their disposal. My modern weapons and vehicles knowledge isn't that great, so I'll get some pictures of those up there. And heavy bombers, the stuff that's going to be able to transport your nukes and missiles, and maybe even transport men and material to the front. But overall, lots of emphasis on aircraft, and hopefully we'll get some chips that'll come out, because what I've seen, there's probably going to be like 4 different types of almost like fighter, what I'm seeing, interceptors, bomber, like fighter bombers, stuff like that, so something to differentiate those different types of fighter craft. Another big thing is helicopters. From what I've seen, we've got like attack helicopters, kind of like Apaches, and MiG-23 attack helicopters, stuff that's probably going to be like your flying tank, fly them into combat, fight with them, and they'll probably be able to land in the same territory they capture. It's going to be transport helicopters. Those will probably be like airborne transports, but again, they could probably land in the territory they capture. So you'll be able to, land a bunch of troops, land in that territory, then grab those troops next turn, fly them out, and take another territory. So there'll be a pretty big emphasis on airborne infantry, and I kind of hope that they add some kind of airborne vehicles that you could have, because that was a big thing going on in the 80s with, especially with the Soviets. I know the Americans built a good amount of stuff too, where basically stuff like tanks and trucks that could be airlifted in, maybe a slightly weaker unit that could be taken in with a large bomber or something like that, dropped in to support an airborne invasion, kind of give you a little more punch after that invasion's over with, so you can keep motoring on. Another big thing in this game, like most games, is going to be technology. And as you can see with this technology chart, there's going to be a lot of different new stuff, like advanced missiles moving around ICMB bases, stuff like that, stealth technology. And as you can see, too, there's a lot of tech that's already researched by a lot of the nations, like especially America and the Soviet Union. They start out with a few different technologies that are fully complete already, kind of showing their predominance in world affairs. But I definitely like this. It kind of goes to show, with people used to Axis and Allies being like World War II, and already starting, you're going to start the game with stuff like nukes and missiles and stuff. So it's already overwhelming, all this cool new stuff that you're going to have at your disposal. And then on top of that, there's tech. So you're going to be able to improve that stuff, get even more modern, futuristic items from researching technology, which I think is really cool. But overall, I think that's all I'm going to talk about for now. I'd love to hear your comments on what you guys think would be cool and added to the game. And also, if you guys like this video, leave a like, subscribe, and if you comment, comment about if you liked this video format or not. Me talking about what I've seen from posts and stuff like that, because it definitely helps me know if you guys are watching these videos and you like the content. I could do more of these, on some expansion sets that are coming out soon, and Global War 1914 and other games. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys again. Cobra, out.